Hello, my dear students. Aralin natin in our session uh, this lesson natin is all about omitted measurements, missing data, and umpisahan natin ang ating lesson by reading some important concepts regarding about omitted measurements. Omitted measurements or missing data. When for any reason it is impossible or impractical to determine by field observations the length and bearing of every side of a closed traverse, the missing data may generally be calculated, provided not more than two quantities, lengths and or bearings are omitted. Ibig sabihin, kailangan isang length lang ng line at bearing. Or maaaring magkaiwalay ang dalawa, length ng isang line at bearing ng isang line ang naka-omit. And it must be assumed that the observed values are without error. And hence, all errors of measurements are thrown into the computed lengths or bearings. Omitted measurements in the field may be caused by several conditions or problems encountered, like the presence of obstacle in the area that cannot be resolved, rugged terrain, and sometimes unfriendly or hostile landowners. It is therefore evident that if the field measurements for any lengths and directions of a closed traverse are to be omitted, it is always essentially important to employ checks on the computed values, which will be done later in the office. The principle of omitted measurement is advantageous in land partitions. For example, a large tract of closed traverse is to be subdivided into several smaller tracts of closed traverse. The dividing line may be considered as an omitted measurement. Pwedeng-pwede ito kapag ginagawa natin ng land partition ng isang malaking land, and then gusto nating subdivide yung lote into many lots na maaaring i-occupy ng mga tenants or ng mga bumibili ng lupa. Or maaari natin gamitin ang konseptong ito sa land subdivision or sa subdivision of lands. The common types of omitted measurements are actually the following. Yung una, ito yung tinatawag nating case 1, length and bearing of one side unknown, followed by length of one side and bearing of another side unknown. Or another case, length of two sides unknown for which the bearing had been observed. So parehong linya, ang length ng lines ang hinahanap natin. And with the case for bearings of two sides unknown for which the lengths have been observed. And we have these following cases now that we have to tackle. And to start with, let us have the case 1 under letter A or letter A ng ating diskusyon ngayong araw na to. Length and bearing of one side unknown. The problem of determining the length and bearing of one side of a closed traverse is actually exactly the same as that of computing the length and bearing of the linear error of closure in any closed traverse for which field measurements are complete. The latitudes and departures of the known sides are computed. Get the algebraic sum of the latitudes and departures. If the algebraic sum of the latitudes and the algebraic sum of the departures of the known sides are designated as summation latitude and summation departure, respectively, then the length S of the unknown side will be this. Like a Pythagorean theorem, we have the formula that is equal to S equal to the square root of summation latitude plus the summation of the square of summation departure. Meaning of the algebraic sum of latitudes, summation L is the latitude of the unknown side but with opposite side And the algebraic sum of departure summation D is the departure of the unknown side, but with opposite sign also. And the tangent of the bearing angle theta is actually given by this formula. Tangent of theta is equal to the negative summation of departure divided by the negative summation of the latitudes. And in order to understand better our case number 1 under omitted measurement, I prepare a given sample problem. A closed traverse asks the following data as given in the data below. So we have to determine the length and bearing of course 3-4 or the line 3-4 ng ating lote. Sa first column, as we can see here, we have the following lines from 1-2 up to 5-1. And as we can see that the bearings of each lines are also given except the course 3-4. Unknown ang bearing natin dito. And then all lines are also having their corresponding distances, excluding the line 3-4. Ang line 1-2 ay may bearing na north, 9 degrees 16 minutes east at may distance na 58.7 meters. Same thing with the line 2-3. May bearing na south, 80 degrees 26 minutes east and a distance of 27.3 meters. Course 4-5, south 5 degrees 18 minutes east and a length of 35 meters. Course 5-1, we have a bearing of south 72 degrees 2 minutes west with a distance of 78.96 meters. Actually, napakadali lang naman yan. Hahanapin lang natin ang value ng mga latitude and departure sa bawat course. Sa latitude, after tayo sa positive north and negative south, while sa departure naman, we have the positive east and negative west. So let us start with the course 1-2. So tingnan nga natin, hanapin natin yung ating mga latitude. And before that, ito yung ating figure. As we can see in this piece of land, nawawala ang bearing ng line 3-4 and also its distance. The rest are all given, yung kanya-kanya nilang bearing. At kung ipa-plot natin yung mga bearings natin and distances, ito yung ating magugong figure. So the problem is we have to determine the latitudes and departures of the given sites, assuming that all measurements are correct. So what's next? So given the following, line 1-2 hanggang line 5-1, given ang corresponding bearings nila and then also the distances in each line, excluding the course 3-4. So, hanapin natin ang value ng latitude and departure of each of them. Under ng latitude, we have the positive north and negative south. Sa departure naman, we have the positive east and negative west. So, paano pa natin malalaman ang value ng mga latitude and departure in this given case? So, enshow ko muna siya, no, mga anak, no? So, enshow ko, I will open my calculator so that we may see kung tama yung mga calculations natin given our Microsoft PowerPoint. So, this is our given. Dito, positive north ang nakikita natin. Bakit sa under ng north ng latitude ko nilagay ang sagot? Kasi nga, ang bearing natin northeast. So, ibig sabihin, kung magsasagot ako ng latitude and departure, magpipila pa ako ng sagot under ng positive north and then positive east dito sa ating bearing. So, we have the latitude and departure here. Bakit positive sa east? Kasi nga, pag nag-draw tayong direction, to the right ang east, upward naman ang north. Kaya parang positive yung dalawa. If I'm going to calculate, tandaan kapag latitude, let us see, no? So first, I'm going to type the distance of 1-2. The line 1-2, we have 58.7. And then I'll take the cosine, and then I'll type 9 degrees, and then 16 minutes, and then close. Let me see kung ano yung makuha nating sagot sa pang-close. Para may partner yung isang open dito. Check lang ha. Ulitin ko lang yung pagkakatype. Mukhang 58.7 cosine 9 degrees 16 minutes. Sumobra yata yung parenthesis natin. And that's it. So we have 57.9339 or 934. So sinulat ko siya dito sa positive north ng latitude. Okay? Kapag naman sign ang ginamit ko, i-replay ko yan, makukuha natin is yung sa departure naman. Okay? Tandaan, kapag latitude, lagi lang tayong cosine. Kapag naman departure, lagi lamang tayong sine. So we have it here as 9.452. Anong degree? 9 degrees, 16 minutes. Then I'll press the equal symbol. As we can see there, we have 9.452. So going back to our session sa PowerPoint natin, 58.7 times cosine of this angle. Since north ito, isusulat ko ang sagot under ng latitude, positive north. So 57.934. And I'll take 58.7 times sine of 9 degrees, 16 minutes east. So dito ko susulat under ng east dahil northeast ang bearing natin. So we have it as 9.452. In this given case, southeast siya. So ibig sabihin ng southeast na yan, kung magsusulat ako ng sagot sa ilalim ng negative S at saka dito. So yun ang magkakaroon ng mga answers dyan. So if I will be computing for the value of the latitude, ang ma-obtain na result natin is 27.3 times cosine of this angle. Ang ating sagot will be negative 0.746, and taking the function of sine for our departure, we have positive 27.290. And definitely, wala tayong mahanap sa line 3-4 na latitude and bearings, latitude and departure, since wala tayong given distance and bearing. At itong dalawang yan ang ating hinahanap under ng case 1. So, temporarily, blanco muna yung mga yan. But we can calculate for the latitude of line 4-5 and its departure since my distance and bearing. So again, for the cosine, in order for us to determine the value of the latitude under ng negative south, we have negative 34.850. And then next, para naman kay east, dito siya isusulat niyan. So we'll be obtaining a result of positive 3.233. And then finally, sa pinakababa, southwest, so ibig sabihin na mabibigyan ng sagot dito, ang mapipili ay yung sa column ng negative south at saka yung column ng negative west. So cosine tayo sa latitude and then sine naman sa departure. So yun yung ating mga sagot. Now, as we can see, kumpleto na yung mga data natin sa latitude except for the line 3-4 na hinahanap natin. Same thing with the departure. Now, i-add lamang natin lahat ng mga values natin under ng latitude. And take note, we have to consider their signs. Same thing with the departure. So we have to take the summation L and summation D in this given scenario or situation. In doing that, makikita natin sa pinakababa ng ating data, ng ating table, summation latitude is negative 2.018. Summation departure, we have negative 35.135. Kapag yan lahat ay sinuma natin sa latitude at saka departure, ito yung makukuha nating summation latitude and summation departure. Now, kung ano yung makukuha nating summation latitude and departure, walang duda, yan na yung mga data na hinahanap natin sa latitude ng ating 3-4 and departure. As we can see below, no, Tingnan niyo lang mga anak, no? Okay, ang nakuha natin dito, negative. Negative 2.018 under ng latitude. Now, we have to take the opposite sign of negative 2.018. Kung ano yung makukuha natin dito, lagi natin kinukuhanan ng opposite sign. Kung negative ito, gawin natin positive. At dahil ginawa natin positive, nasaan ba yung positive ng latitude? Di ba't under ng positive north? So dito natin ipipill in yung sagot na positive 2.018. Ibig sabihin, yung bearing natin dito, north na yung simula. So dito ka susulat yung sagot natin. Positive 2.018 now, yung nakuha natin dyan. So ganyan lang kadali yan. Okay. So ang nakuha nating departure in this given point or situation is negative. Again, we take the opposite sign. We have to use positive. Saan ba ang positive ng departure? Di ba't under ng is? So dito ko ipipill up yung blanco. So isusulat ko dyan, positive 35.135. At dahil ang napili natin ay yung north and east, ibig sabihin ng bearing natin, walang dudang north-east yan. Diyan pa lang alam na natin ang makukuha nating angle, ang bearing natin, ano man yung value ng angle is north-east. So kumpleto na yung mga data natin. O, lahat ng lines natin, meron na silang kanya-kanyang tigisang latitude value and departure. Now, anong gagawin natin? Tingnan natin kung tama yung sagot natin. This is one way of checking. Wala natin yung summation ng lahat ng positive north and negative south. Sa positive north, ang total natin, yan, positive 59.952. Paano naman kapag ang ilad natin ay lahat ng mga negative south latitude? As we can see here, pareho lang. Yun nga lang, opposite sign. Pero kapag pinagad natin yung dalawang yan, ang total nila ay 0. Okay? So, positive north and negative south, kapag ginad natin yung value nila, ang sum natin will be 0. So, let us proceed to the departure. Kapag ginad natin lahat ng mga numbers na nasa positive east, ito yung makukuha natin total. Kapag ginad naman natin lahat ng mga numerals na nasa column ng negative west, pareho lang. Yung nga lang, opposite of sign. So kapag ginad natin yung dalawang yan, 0. Nangangulugang close traverse tayo. Magsasara yung system. So magmi-meet yung mga point natin. So finally, ayan na yung ating latitude and departure kompleto na yung data natin. So ano na lang inaanap natin ay yung distance at saka bearing ng ating piece of land na ating binibigyan ng katugunan yung mga unknown parts ng ating piece of land, yung line and bearing nito, yung distance and bearing nito. So we have to calculate now first for the distance. And take note, ito yung ating latitude and departure value. Okay? So how do we calculate? Summation latitude square plus the square of summation departure and take the square root or extract the square root, extract the square root of their sum. We have this now our S3-4, meaning this is the distance what we have to determine or we are looking for. So the obtained value is 35.193 meters. Ibig sabihin, ang line 3-4 ng ating course in that piece of land is equal to 35.193 meters. Now, after obtaining the distance, since given naman yung summation latitude and departure natin, di na mahirap hanapin ng ating bearing. So, simpleng tangent theta lang yan. Now, for us to calculate for the bearing of our case 1, given example, so negative summation of departure divided by negative summation of latitude is equal to the tangent theta. Then, finally, ang na-obtain nating result is 86 degree, 42 minutes, 43 seconds. Say 86.713 degrees. Now, nag-round off lang naman tayo dito sa sinulat ko dito. Actually, pwede ko namang sulat ng buo yung 42 degrees, 86 degrees, 42 minutes, 43 seconds. Kaya lang usually 'no, 'pag nagbasa ka ng mga plano minsan, actually hindi na pinapakita yung seconds, eh, nilalagyan lang ng decimal yung minutes. Kaya ni-round off ko na. Pero kung halimbawa 42 minutes and 29 seconds lang 'yan, ilalagay ko lang dito is 42. Pero kapag tumungtong na ng 30 minutes siya, nira-round up ko na, gagawin ko ng 43. 'Pag kasi nagbasa ka ng mga land title, minsan di na ilalagay yung mga seconds na 'yan. Nilalagay na lang yung, eksaktong minutes o kaya minsan nilalagyan ng decimal yung minutes. Or puwede nating i-convert into degrees, alisin ko yung minute and seconds. We have 86 degrees, 86.713 degrees. So, nag-round off tayo ng 3 decimal places. And alam naman natin na northeast. Bakit northeast? Kasi ang na-fill in dito yung north at saka yung east. Ibig sabihin, tanda yun na ang bearing natin is northeast. So, ganyan lang naman kadali, no? The bearing of course 3-4 now is north 86 degrees 43 minutes east. Northeast, since its latitude and departure are both positive in sign. Ayan sila. So, walang kahirap-hirap. Finally, for our final tabulation, kumpleto na yung ating table and kumpleto na yung mga unknowns ng ating piece of land in our given drawing. So, given na yung distance, and nahanap na rin natin yung bearing ng ating kapirasong lupa. I think that's all for today. Thank you and God bless us all.